Hey G Nation, it's your favorite nurse Jasmine, and I'm back for part 2 of my semester wrap up. This is going to be my clinical portion. Decided to break this up into 2 parts because I had 3 preceptors for my last semester of grad school. Y'all know that is like usually unheard of. Trying to get preceptors is super hard, but I was fortunate to get 3 of them because I needed to complete separate hours. So in the FNP program, you are required, or let me say it like this. My school requires you to have different sections of clinical hours. So it's not just show up to clinicals wherever you're at and get your hours. You have to have geriatric hours, pediatric hours, family practice hours, and then if you have anything left, you can do specialty hours. I knew I wanted to do a specialty clinical, but I knew that I couldn't do it until the last semester. We were only allowed to do it the last semester when we had majority of our other sections that were required completed. Specialty is not required. So your specialties are going to be your ERs, your urgent cares, your surgeries, like neurology, GI, things like that, plastics. Those are your specialty hours. They're not required to let you go there if you don't have your other hours completed. So my geriatrics was completed first semester. Family practice hours were completed second semester. So this semester I had to do women's health, peds, and then I was able to get authorization from my dean to do my specialty hours. So I was like, yes. Which means I had to be very strategic with how I did my clinicals with my work schedule because I also worked part-time. Just saying it out loud, it was a lot. So I can say that all of my preceptors were freaking amazing. I am so fortunate that I did not have any mean, rude, or just like blah preceptors, because I've heard stories, and I'm very fortunate not to be one of the people who experienced that or had to like leave a clinical site because you didn't mix well with your preceptors. So I thank you Jesus that I was able to have 3 freaking amazing preceptors. And honestly, all my preceptors from when I first started going to clinicals have been amazing. So my first clinical was women's health. Sis, that is not my forte. That is not my my niche. I learned that really quickly. Okay, I was with a certified midwife, and is it certified midwife, or yeah, I think that's what it is. CMW. Think that she was a midwife. Basically, she is a midwife, and she worked in a clinic, and we were OB. So I saw a lot of pregnant people, new pregnant people, middle of the range pregnant people, people about to deliver, people that were delivered, a lot of vajayjays and a lot of bellies. And sis, it's just not my niche. I didn't like labor and delivery when I was in nursing school, and I don't like OB now. I just know that it's not my thing. Nothing wrong with it if that's what you love to do, but it is just not for me. It's just not. My preceptor was dope though. She was everything. I loved her attitude, like just like her personality. She was just like, so like, look girl, like calm down. We're gonna have this baby. It's not gonna be a lot, like chill. I was like, yeah. She was like so calm, but she was so like, she was the whole vibe. Basically all I was able to do was I did 1 pap smear. I told her after that, I was like, look, I did it, little check mark. I would prefer not to do that again. So everyone that came in, I did a quick HPI. I did I measured the fundal height, measured the fetal heart rate, and then the baby's position, and then that was pretty much it. And honestly, that was majority of what the visits were. The appointments were really quick. We did some NSTs, and those were monitoring for the gestational diabetics towards the end of their pregnancy. I think it's at 34 weeks. preparing moms for C-sections. We went to the hospital. We started Pitocin on a lady. She ended up not delivering until the next day. So yeah, that was pretty much my women's health. Like I said, it's not for me, but I loved my preceptor. And she is now a midwife that does home births, and I think that's so freaking dope. Like, she started her own company, she started her own business, she's doing home births now. I'm so happy for her. Like, I'm so freaking happy for her. The second clinical rotation that I did was pediatrics. If you guys have been following me for a long time, you know that I used to be so freaking afraid of doing pediatrics. I was like, look, peds is not gonna be for me. I have been an adult ICU nurse like my whole career. I know adults, I know geriatrics. Peds is just not for me. I did not like peds in nursing school, and that's probably because I was on a pediatric medical oncology floor, and it was just not for me. I just did not like peds. So I literally put my pediatrics hours until the end. I was like, until they're gonna force me to do them, I'm not doing it. One of my classmates actually had my preceptor before I had her, and she was just like, you don't argue with her. She's stern, she's firm, she's like to business. She's kind of like stoic in a way, and she's like, you just go in there, you show up, you know your shit, and you keep it moving. And I was just like, but I don't know peds though. Like, how am I gonna know something that I don't know? Like, she expects me to know things that I don't know. So this is why you never listen to other people. So I show up. She was so nice. I instantly fell in love with her, and she was so like educational and informative, and she would quiz me. She would put me on the spot, and if there was something that I didn't know, she would be like, okay, Jasmine, go look it up. You look it up, you come back to me with the information, and that shows me if I encounter something in clinic that I'm not aware, how to properly go about finding evidence-based practice for what my patient is presenting with. So I loved her. She was so nice. We went and ate lunch together. We talked about makeup. She was everything. She was so freaking nice. She, like, day one, she was like, okay, so how comfortable are you with peds? I'm not. Sis, at all, like zero. So she was like, okay, I'm gonna let you come in with me for the first day. You'll shadow me, you'll kind of just stand beside. If you have any questions, you're more than welcome to ask in the room. I'll quiz you about some stuff afterwards. You'll ask me any other things that you need to know. She told me what book to bring, and which is the Bright Futures book. And the first day was cool. Next day I went, she was like, okay, so the first patient is a 2-month well child. Tell me what, you know, what you should expect, what should you look for, what vaccination should we do, da 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 da. And she goes in the room, she lets me do everything, and if there was something on the exam that I missed, she'll let me know, not in a demeaning way. She was just like, hey, next time you want to make sure you do A, B, C, and D. The first day I actually met her, I met her at the hospital. We did a circumcision day one. I mean, I didn't do it. She did it. I just watched. But I was like, you're a nurse practitioner and you're doing circumcisions? She was trained to do it, and I was just like, that's so dope. Overall, I fell in love with peds. I love peds, guys. I know it sounds crazy, even me saying it, but I absolutely love peds, and I owe that all to my preceptor. She was just she was everything, and the amount of information that I learned and I absorbed while with her, it was crazy. I just felt like I had so much knowledge leaving there. Every single day I learned so much. My last clinical that I had to do was my specialty. So y'all know me, coming from an ICU nurse, I was like, I think I'm gonna like urgent care. Urgent care, you don't have to manage any diseases. They're all basically coming in for acute problems, and you're just fixing what's wrong with them now. You're not doing any like yearly screenings, you're not doing any yearly lab works, you're not adjusting thyroid medications and diabetic medications. You're dealing with acute things. ICU, I'm dealing with acute stuff. And basically I was like, this is what I want to do. Yes, it was not what I expected it to be. This wasn't what I thought it was going to be. I thought it was going to be more like the things that I enjoyed doing when I was there. The patient had a fractured foot. Was it his foot or his ankle? I can't remember if it was his foot or his ankle, but he fractured either his foot or his ankle, and we splinted it. This lady came in with this huge sebaceous cyst like on the top of her shoulder, and we drained it, and it was so grossly cool. The amount of stuff that came out of there. And then we did some stitches, we did wound care on some burns. We diagnosed corneal abrasions from a little girl who was her first time, well, she wasn't a little girl, she was a teenager, but she was a first time contact wearer, and for whatever reason her little brother got into her contacts and she still put them in her eyes, and most likely his hands were dirty and transferred to her contacts, which she transferred to her eyeballs, and then she went to sleep in them. So we did that. But it was a lot since the quarantine, since this pandemic. It's a lot of people that came in with like allergy symptoms who swore they had COVID, and I'm like, you don't, like, you don't even have the right symptoms. So it was a lot of that, a lot of like flus, a lot of strips, a lot of ear infections, a lot of allergic rhinitis, just some basic things that people could treat with over-the-counter stuff, because ultimately that's what I prescribed them anyways. There was a lady that came in, she was dehydrated, she had a UTI, she was dehydrated, so I started an IV and we gave her fluids in the clinic, because the nurse that we had that day, she was an LPN but had just finished RN school, and she never placed an IV yet. And my preceptors, like, usually the NPs or the PAs are the one to put the IVs in if we do need them. And she was like, but you're an ICU nurse, go do it. I was like, bet, show me where all the stuff is. I went in there, got her done, because I actually love doing IVs. I wanted it to be more procedural things, and it is definitely not. Although it was not what I thought it was going to be, it wasn't bad. I was expecting more procedures. But once again, my preceptor was dope. She's still nice. We talk all the time on Facebook. She is so fun. She just bought a jet ski. I was like, dang, you will buy a jet ski when I leave. But she is so funny. I still love her. Like I said, I was blessed to have some amazing preceptors. With the pandemic, it was like, what are we going to do, because we were pulled out of clinicals early. So the school didn't allow us to finish doing clinicals because they didn't want us. This was before like everything officially shut down, but we got pulled out of clinical anyways. So they were like, you know, we don't want you guys to have contact with the patients because we don't want you to contact COVID while doing something for school, because guess what, they would be responsible for it. I mean, they didn't say it, but that was the reason. And everybody was freaking out, including me. So then we did COVID volunteering, and then they told us that we couldn't do that either. And then we were supposed to do these case studies that I was not about. I was like, ugh, this is gonna be awful. Then we officially got the word from the dean that those of us who had already completed 500 hours were excused from the rest of our clinical requirements. So every school is different. Everybody requires you to do different amount of clinical hours. So some schools require 500, some require 550, some require 600, some require 700 and 800. It just depends on what school you go to. And this is not in a semester, this is for your entire grad school experience, for your whole FNP program. And my school required 600. I decided this semester that I was gonna front load my hours because I didn't do it the last semester, and it almost backfired on me. Like, I literally was doing the clinical, I was doing my last day of clinicals on the last day that we were approved to do clinicals. So I was like, we're not gonna do that. So I worked my work schedule to front load my hours, meaning I tried to get as many hours done at the beginning of the semester as possible, because they don't schedule your clinicals for you. They don't tell you every week you have to have 12 clinical hours or 24 clinical hours. it's up to you. You manage your own hours, you manage your own preceptors, you do your own logs. Everything is up to you. I was like, okay, I'm gonna front load my hours. So every week I was doing between 30 to 40 hours. I know, it's crazy. One week I did 30 hours, and then the day, there was like I did a Friday, so I went to clinicals on a Friday from 8 in the morning until 4, no, from 8 in the morning until 3. My clinical was like 2 minutes from my house. So I literally went home, showered, went to sleep, woke up, left the house at 6 to go do a 12-hour ICU shift. When I tell you I was not playing with these clinical hours, I was not playing. So when we got pulled from clinical, I was literally 3 clinical days short of my required hours. So I was like, dang it, I literally only need 3 days. I was well over the 500 hours that the boards require to have. In order for you to sit for boards, NPs are required to have at least 500 patient clinical care hours, like patient contact hours. So I was well over 500 by like a long shot. Like I said, I literally only had 3 clinical days left. So it was appropriate for me to no longer complete any other clinical hours because I had way over 500. But at the time, it was like 2 weeks of uncertainty and stress of like what is going to happen. And I'm like, I front loaded my hours, meaning tried to knock out as many hours as possible at the beginning, so that way I could have the last month of school to just focus on finals. It ended up working for me anyways, because I didn't have to worry about what would happen if I didn't have the 500 hours. I was cleared, but let me tell you, COVID has been ruining everything. So that's pretty much how my clinical experience went. I don't know where my job is gonna be in. I have narrowed it down to about 3 areas that I would prefer, but ultimately I am open to anything. And that is just, it is what it is. And I am excited to see where this new career path is going to take me. And I am so freaking appreciative to have met some of the dopest nurse practitioners that I have encountered, a bomb nurse midwife, and people who have put so much into me and my education, and honestly and truly want me to grow and succeed in everything that I do. That is just a good feeling to have, especially when you're in a profession that is so mid-level where, you know, doctors kind of look, some doctors kind of look down on you, some doctors don't really know what you do or what your role is. But to have other nurse practitioners tell you that, you know, you're gonna do great, I'm not worried about you, Jasmine, you're one of the ones I'm not worried about, like, it is so comforting. And yeah, I'm just excited to see what my future holds. I want to thank all of you guys for rocking with me during this trying 2 years, because this nurse practitioner program is no joke. Do you hear me? I know a lot of people are more aware of nurse practitioners now, so a lot of people want to do it. If you want to become a nurse practitioner, by all means do it. Make sure you look into your programs. It is hard, but it is doable. And that is pretty much how my last semester ended. I hope you guys enjoyed. And if you have any comments, questions, or concerns, feel free to leave them below. If you are not subscribed, like, why haven't you subscribed to my channel? Like, you need to subscribe now. Okay, turn on your notification button, follow me over on IG, and until the next video, don't forget to stay boss up and conquer. Bye. Mwah.